Why is it important to daven? Hashem knows what I need, and if He doesn't want to provide me with what I need, then how would it help me that I'll daven? And if He does want to provide me with what I need, He'll do it without my davening. So what's the purpose in the davening? The answer to that is that although Hashem provides me with what He needs, but the way He created the world was that everything that He gives us, He gives it to us through a keli, through a vessel, through a certain conduit. So if a person wants sustenance, and he has Hashem's blessing for that, nevertheless, he has to have a job, he has to go to work. And that's the natural conduit through which Hashem gives me the blessing. If a person has to have the blessing of healing, he has Hashem's blessing, but nevertheless, he has to go to a doctor, do the things the doctor tells him to do, take the medication, and that's the conduit through which the blessing takes place. So just like we need a keli, a conduit in the physical sense, we also need a conduit in a spiritual sense. That I have to have a keli through which Hashem transmits the blessing. And the spiritual vessel is the mere fact that I have the acknowledgement, the belief, and the knowledge, and I recognize that Hashem is the source of all blessings. That is the conduit through which I can receive the blessing. And therefore, when a person davens and asks Hashem for sustenance, for healing, for other blessings, they're basically saying, I acknowledge Hashem that you're the source of blessing. That makes us a vessel and a conduit that is worthy of Hashem transmitting His blessing through that. That's one thing. There's also something deeper to that, and that is to daven is actually a mitzvah. It's one of the 613 commandments. Nevertheless, there's nowhere in the Torah it says the words, and you should daven. So the Gemara says the source for prayer are the words, you should serve God with all your heart. And what is the service of the heart? That's prayer, that's davening. What does that mean? Basically, it means that observing Torah and mitzvahs has a body and a soul. The body is the actual things that we do, the do's and the don'ts. And the soul is that doing Torah mitzvahs is part of a process where we are connecting to Hashem. There's a relationship here between us and Hashem. And through Torah mitzvahs, we connect, which means the soul of Judaism is the emotional bond with Hashem. So there are those things which we follow. This should be done, this should not be done. But then there's also the emotional part, the emotional bond with Hashem. How is that established? In fact, people ask, how could it be a commandment to love Hashem when love is an emotion? You can't command a person to have an emotion. And the answer to that is, the way it's explained in Chassidus, is that the mind is the key to the heart. So when a person meditates into the greatness of Hashem and the relationship between Hashem and the universe in general, and with me in particular, that knowledge and those thoughts will stimulate in my heart a love for Hashem. And that's what davening is all about. Davening is a time of the day that we designate to focus on our relationship with Hashem, and specifically focus for the purpose to stimulate an emotional bond with Hashem. And therefore, the davening is all about Hashem's greatness, Hashem's creation, how it relates to the world at large, how it relates to us in particular, how it relates to every aspect of our life. And the more we think about Hashem's greatness and Hashem's goodness, that will help develop that emotional bond to Hashem. And this is the reason why Shemona Esrei, which is the main part of prayer, has 18 blessings. And our sages say that this corresponds to the 18 vertebrae in a person's body. The vertebrae, the backbone, is what supports the whole body. Davening is what supports all of our Yiddishkeit, because davening is all about developing a love for Hashem, developing that emotional bond with Hashem, And when the soul is healthy, then the body is healthy. That motivates a person to do what needs to be done. So therefore, even if someone would say to himself, thank God I have this, physically I have different things, spiritually I'm not lacking, is there still a point in davening? And the answer is absolutely. The point in davening is to be able to designate time every single day to stimulate and develop that emotional bond with Hashem, the soul of my Yiddishkeit.